Hello, my name is Alberto Marquez. In this video we will keep our discussion for Arena Advanced Transfer modules, and we will start with the stations and routes. Very good. We will create first an entity, and from this entity we will go through an advanced transfer using a route, and the route will take us to a station. In the station we will process the entity, and from that station 1 we will transfer to the next station using route, into station number 2, where the entity will be processed in a second resource, and then we will route out of that station into a third station, and the purpose of that third station is simply to dispose the entity. Alright, so we need to specify the characteristics of these processes. We are familiar with the sys delay release using resource 1 and the sys delay release using resource 2. Okay, and now we specify the destinations of the entities when they arrive to the route modules. So when we go to the first module, you can see we have the route, and then you can specify a routing time that determines how long it takes to leave this station into the next station. In this particular case, we're going to station 1, and that depends on the station. However, routes can be dependent on sequences, if we have a sequence, or attributes or other expressions. In this example, being the simplest one, we just route it using station, and we keep going to station 1. Station 1, the entity just simply arrives. There is no other parameter that we need to specify, but when we leave to the route, we need to specify now we're not going to return to station 1. What we're doing is going to station 2. We arrive at station 2, and when we leave route 3, we are heading through station type of connection to station 3, and that is our simple model. Let me increase the time between arrivals to make sure that we don't have any problem with utilizations, and we can run this model. Now the entities are traveling from station to station in a virtual way, and it doesn't necessarily have to specify how it gets to the other. It just specifies how long it would take to get to one place to another without further detail. Now we can change all the routes to leaves, but before we do that, let's include another entity. We create another entity which also will be transferred using routes. Okay, now what we will do is between this create and this route, we will make an assignment to a station, a sequence. So we have the assignment and the other assignment. The first create is connected to the first assignment, and from the assignment to the first route. The second create to the second assignment, from the second assignment to route number 4. And in this assignment, we are going to modify an attribute. There are pre-specified attributes that are useful in Arena every time, and that includes the sequence, the picture, and others, the current station, etc. So when we can specify the sequence, and inside each sequence you can see one of the attributes is the entity job step. That is the number of the step inside of that sequence. So the attributes in Arena are predetermined in such a way that allows you to determine sequences, and also is already specifying which is the step inside that sequence. So this first entity will go to sequence, will have as a tag, or will have as an attribute sequence number 1, and the second entity we also modify the attribute, which attribute, the attribute sequence, and the sequence will be sequence number 2. Now those sequences are not defined yet. Let's define them. Here you have in the advanced transfer tables for sequences that you can use. And as you click in the sequence here at the bottom, you can specify those sequences. Right now there are no sequences specified. Double click to enter, we have sequence 1. Double click to enter, now we have 2 sequences. Which are the steps in the sequence? We need to specify. Double click in the 0 and double click to specify. The first step is going to station 1, then to station 2, then to station 3, and that's the end of sequence number 1. Let's change the order for sequence number 2 to go first to station number 3, then to station number 2, and then to station number 1. There is no restraints in terms of being able to go back to the same station within the sequence or any particular order. As you go through the station, and the software accounts when you request it to be transferred using a sequence, and it updates the job step, so it knows that now it has to go to the next station. Okay, so the sequences are defined. Now let's go to the routes. Right now the way that the destination is selected is by specifying the station. Now we don't want that. What we want is to go by the sequence. And Arena knows where to look for the sequence. We don't have to worry about it for the first entity and for the second entity. And the other routes will have to follow through, because some of the entities now will go from station 1 to station 2. But for this first station, some of the entities will go now from station 1 to station 4 at the end. So we have done that. And similarly for station 2, some of the entities will go from station 2 to station 1, and some of them will go from station 2 to station 3. So here we have it, and I think we are done. It's something with a very complex logic of 2 entities having to travel in different paths is now implemented. One more thing that I need to include now that I have 2 creates in order to balance the workload at the processes is to update the number of the resources I have. And just to be on the safe side, I will have 3. Of course, this is not how you represent reality. I'm just demonstrating the capabilities of the software. So I execute now, and you can see the entities are flowing in a virtual way. Each one of them following different patterns of or sequences from which station follows which one. So this is a demonstration of routes and sequences. We will see now a similar example, but instead of using routes, we will use leaves. Leaf is a very similar concept to the route. I will delete these routes and replace them with leaves. The only difference between leaves and route, well, is that of course leaves are very much more flexible into what they can do. I connect through the connector. My leaves to the previous processes or assignments, and we're almost ready to go. Now you can see, if you zoom in, that we still have a connector type of ending at the leaf. You can see that little triangle there, and that is not that means that it's not finished, but that will change if I go into the leaf, and now it's a combination of the type of leaving transfer that we have. We can say we can request a transporter, access a conveyor, or seize a resource, or none. So this is a more powerful way to leave in terms of the modeling capabilities. And right now it's prepared to have a connect, but we don't have to have a connect. We can change it to route, and this will make it exactly the same as having the route as before. We can select sequence. It's just a more powerful node or module because we can request transporters and conveyors when we need them using leaf. Not the case right now because we're using routes, and all I have to do is tell the software that I'm following a sequence in this particular example. I have not replaced this with the route. I will replace it now. Okay, and it's not through connect but through route, and it's not next station, is by sequence, so each entity knows where to go next. And we execute the code, and there you go, it's working. So leave is similar to route, or has all the possibilities of route. It's just more powerful. We have sequence, routes, and leaves.